Hello and welcome to episode 271 of the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman. So on today's Small and Supercharged podcast, we're joined by Joanna Jensen, who you may know as the founder of Child's Farm. She's also an equestrian, a part owner in Natasha Baker's Top Horse, and a great supporter of the RDA as well. So thank you so much for joining us today, Joanna. It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, my children have used your products a lot, actually, one in particular who had sensitive skin. But can you talk to us about the idea for Child's Farm and how you grew it into the huge brand that it is today?
Child's Farm was literally a labour of love. My youngest daughter, Bella, was born in 2006 with chronic atopic eczema. And I was horrified to discover that nothing had changed in the world of emollients for sensitive skin since I was a little girl when I'd had eczema. And it was still, things that sat on your skin, they didn't treat the issue, and everything looked very boring. White, blue, grey, dull, whilst normal kids had matey or something exciting, Disney princess with gold sparkles in it, which of course was an absolute no-go for us. And so I didn't want to apply steroids to her skin. I didn't want to give her any harsh treatment. So I set about dealing with it on a more holistic basis, which of course was moisturizing, cleaning efficiently, and really being very careful about everything from what she ate to the laundry products that I used. But what was clear to me is that I wasn't the only one suffering with a child with eczema, and that a solution was needed to help us. And so I rather took it upon myself to come up with some formulations, some basic ones, which allowed her to wash her hair, to moisturize her skin, and in due course actually have a bubble bath.
Yes.
And my approach was completely at odds with the industry. I wanted my little one to have fun in the bath. I didn't want bath time to be this horrendous chore where actually she screamed and cried and was really unhappy. So I approached the thing from a holistic approach. So I said, right, it's got to look inviting. It's got to look like something that she wants to use and will engage her 2-year-old mind. B, it's got to smell nice. You can't have something that smells, I always say mung beans and flip-flops, but you can't have something that smells like walking into a sort of a Whole Foods store or whatever. It's got to be engaging and inviting and be a sensory experience for these little ones. But most importantly, this had to work. It had to not irritate her sensitive skin, and it had to clean it efficiently, clean her hair, and most importantly, not allow her hair to be tangled. So, of course, you mentioned that I'm an equestrian. Well, my children were thrown on ponies from a very early age. So there was this constant sort of aroma, shall we say, of around the place. So these were my rules, and I went out and I found deliciously fragrant, fruity essential oils that could be used on irritated skin without any fear of reprisal. I found ingredients that had been used, some had been used for thousands of years, shea butter, cocoa butter. The Egyptians used that on their skin for sun damage, wind damage, you name it. Glycerin, which is plant derived and fabulous for any type of irritated skin. So all of this intelligence built up, and I created my first product. And I just remember treating the children. They had a bath, their first bubble bath, and Bella started giggling. And she said, Mummy, it's non-owie.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, bless her.
And so it didn't hurt. It's the first thing that didn't hurt her. So, a little light bulb went on, and I thought, bingo. So, it was a case of sharing it with all my friends. And it was later that people said, since I've been using your products, my child's eczema has completely gone.
Wow.
And cut a long story short, we did a series of clinical trials that proved that the products were suitable for eczema-prone skin, and that really changed our fortunes.
And you recently sold quite a lot of the business, didn't you? But that, I mean, gosh, it's taken a long time to create that business. Was it strange selling it?
Oh, I think I for up to about 8 months after I sold it, I was a flippity gibbet. I was really couldn't come to terms that other people were playing with my toys.
Yeah.
And I'd handed my toys over.
Willingly.
I was kind of like going, no, I want that one back. And I want that one back. And I was having to sit on my hands. I was having to bite my lip. And it took me about 8 months to come to terms with the fact that I had relinquished this business to somebody else. And I had to get over it. I had to get over it. But it took me 8 months. And now I've got over it. And I am really happy with the way that the business is being run and being grown. And it's allowed me to turn my eye to other things that matter to me as a founder, in particular other female founded businesses, and how they, with a bit of advice and a bit of help, can supercharge their own fortunes.
No, completely. And obviously there's been a long journey between starting and selling. What have the highs been along that journey, obviously up to the point that you did sell? Because to grow a business literally from a need into something that's helping thousands and thousands of children and their parents, I mean, that's quite a journey.
Oh, the funny thing is that when you're on these journeys, a lot is done so far in advance that you forget to celebrate it. You don't acknowledge it. And by the time it happens, you're so exhausted by the whole thing anyhow. It's kind of like, yeah, whatever. But I think for me, I mean, obviously, getting a listing in Boots in 2014 was amazing. Seeing the Child's Farm cartoon come to life in the same year, absolutely amazing. But the things that have hit me like a brick really have been the response from our consumers. So over the years, we've had a number of people share their personal stories of their skin, their children's skin, the problems that they've had, and how their skin's fortunes have been turned around by the use of Child's Farm. And this for me is, when I'm an old granny sitting in my rocking chair, I've always wanted to be able to say I actually made a positive difference to people's lives. And this is what these products have done. They have made a positive difference to people's lives. And so it's going to be, a lot of these were shared with the press, but we got a lot of postcards. We even got voicemails from people. And, these hit me right in the heart. And these just make me super, super proud of everything that the team have achieved. Because I know exactly what these people have been going through, because I went through it with Bella. And that makes me immensely proud.
No, completely. I have to say, I've used your products on both of my children, but one particularly, he did have eczema when he was little. But they're also great gifts to give to people, not because you're saying your child has got problem skin, have this
smelly.
because they are beautiful products. They're good products. They smell amazing. I've had friends that have had babies and I've given them like a full set and gone, there you go, this is amazing, because it smells lovely. It doesn't feel like a kind of medical, in inverted commas, product to solve a problem. They're just beautiful products for anyone with a youngster, aren't they?
Oh, thank you. But that's what I wanted them to be. I wanted them to be everything. I wanted them to tick every single box. I didn't want a single child to think they couldn't have a beautifully packaged, fun packaged product because they had poorly skin. I didn't want them to feel that they had some grotty looking, product, and it was like a neon sign above their head saying, you've got poorly skin. I mean, kids have it tough if they've got really poor skin. Little ones can be horrible to other little ones. I'm not going to touch your hand, it's all manky. Oh, look at her, what's the matter with you? You look like you're all ill. These are the sort of things that this sort of non-filtered age group share. and to stop that happening is just hurrah, isn't it?
Oh, totally. Absolutely. And from a parent's point of view as well, it's horrible when you can see your child suffering and nothing's really working, and they're sad or they're sore, but then when you start to see something working, you think, oh my God, this is amazing, this is brilliant.
Yeah, and you're in like Flynn, and you just want to give it to anyone and everyone.
Yes.
My children are hysterical. They will phone me up and they'll say, I'm going to email you someone to dress. Can you send them a bottle of moisturizer? Because I played hockey against them today and I could see that they've got really bad skin on their legs. And I said that I'd send something to them to make that better. And I mean, and this is what we found. If you do something, if you create something that is so helpful and is a game changer for people, they are your marketing team. They will tell anyone and everyone what it is that you've done and you've created. And they will, I mean, I can't tell you the amount of people I've met. And, and someone will suddenly go, oh my God, you're the Child's Farm lady. And they burst into tears.
Oh wow.
And I am sitting there going, oh God, I'm so sorry. Have I done something heinous? No, you have no idea. And they start taking their clothes off, saying, I've got to show you.
That's it.
I've got to show you this patch of skin that is always in a place that you simply cannot find. They've got to take their kit off to show it to you. And it's kind of like, no, it's okay. You can just describe it. And it's hysterical, but it is just so fulfilling. It is so fulfilling, and it makes me feel like I've earned my place on the planet.
No, completely. What have the lows been on your journey though? Because whilst obviously the overall picture for Child's Farm is amazing, I don't think there's any founder out there that hasn't had those times on their journey where it's been flipping tough.
Oh, I think, cash flow. I mean, there were always pressures on cash. There were always, because you're wanting to grow, and so you were literally like a steam engine, and you're shoveling coal constantly into this greedy machine that is going faster and faster and faster, and people are seeing it and going, ooh, and waving at you, and you are exhausted. And I think for me, I was exhausted. I had 2 young children. I was on my own, as I've said. I had so many pressures to pay the bills, personal bills, that was always looming over me. And it would nothing would ever happen at the time when it was meant to happen. So you would think you'd be going into a supermarket and then they'd put it back 3 months or 6 months, and then you'd have to sort of start jiggering and pokering around. But I think I was very hard on myself. I thought I was a crap mother because I was never there for my kids. I was always there for my employees, and my employees thought I was a crap employer because they didn't understand how much I did for them and how much this all mattered to me and what was on the line. And I think low points have included being trolled by an employee on Instagram.
Oh gosh.
Which I'm staggered by how anyone behaves behind this veil of anonymity anyhow. I will stick my hand up and take responsibility for anything that I do or say. But we have a whole culture now where we don't, and we hide, and people think that's okay. And that to me was not so much, it wasn't about me. It was about humanity and how callous humanity is. And I think that was sad. And also this person was a parent, and you never want your children to see anything about you that could hurt them. I've heard too many horrific stories of people, children committing suicide because their parents have been targeted through the media.
Yeah.
And I think there is a huge amount of naivety in society now about the impact this has on the young. And yet some of the young are the most virulent about judging others. We all need to stop.
Oh,
Stop
agree.
doing this. Somebody said to me, and actually one of my daughters said, I always thought you were going into politics when you sold Child's Farm. And I said, I could never do it to you.
No.
I could never do it to you and your sister. There is no way I would allow you to see the hatred that there is within society for anyone in the public eye.
No. I mean, this is a slight tangent, but I do think that they need to be teaching a lot more about this in schools. I think they need to talk about social media in schools, trolling, the effect it has, how it is actually a crime, and a lot more education around it rather than just pretending it doesn't happen, because it really does, and it can have a catastrophic impact on people's lives.
So I agree. There is no policing of any of this. This is all left to the people that created the devices to police it. You know, this is not how society works. You've got to have independent understanding. And I think that, you know, what we're seeing now is in schools, anxious children who, as a direct result of social media and the behaviors that have been created by social media, and by and large, schools are ill-equipped to deal with the fallout because it's all new to them, and they have got no idea how to cope with it. And it concerns me enormously, and I think we have lost our way in being human.
I agree. On a lighter note,
quickly take us there.
Horses. You're a huge supporter of the RDA, and you also support Natasha Baker with, you're a part owner in Lottie, aren't you?
I am. I own the front half, I say. She can have the back half.
Is that the better half? Is that the half that doesn't break?
I didn't really want to own the poo department.
Good point. That's a brilliant point. I mean, how did you, I have to say, I'm a huge fangirl of Natasha. She's been on the podcast. I've interviewed her loads. I adore her. How did you get into it, you know, to work with her, to part own her horse, to work with the RDA? How did that all come about?
It was back in 2014, and the RDA did their first. So when I set up Child's Farm, we as a family have always been passionate about riding for the disabled, and before I'd done it, we'd had actually a nanny of ours that had this massive fundraiser for the RDA, and we had a huge fete and games and all the rest of it. And I said, you know, and I was plotting Child's Farm at the time, and I said, you know, I always believed that when you run a business, you should pay your tithe, and my tithe was going to be to RDA.
Wow.
So we started with the business started with RDA as a benefit from our profits. And it was through that in 2014. And I think that was the first year that they had their award ceremony. Might have been the year before, their first award ceremony. And we sponsored an award for the most achieving rider. And my God, that's been absolutely fabulous over the years. People who have just conquered everything to become just total horseman loonies. And it was at the first one of these dinners that I met Natasha. She came and she was a guest on our table, and I thought she was absolutely fabulous. So we always stayed in touch. And, you know, subsequently when she hooked up with Mark, her now husband, he used to come along as well. You know, it was like having your own comedian on the table. And then throw in her parents as well. And it was just, oh my God, your jaw aches by the end of the evening because you've been laughing so hard. Anyhow, so it was back in 2018, and I got a phone call from Natasha saying, help, I haven't got a horse to Tokyo. Have you got any spons? And you know, can you help? And I said, yeah, absolutely love to. And I said, of course we'll buy your horse. I said, out of interest, how much are they? And she said, and I went, oh, okay, so we could probably buy half a horse. And so she went on the road trying to find, I mean, she's all over Europe trying to find this horse, and eventually found Lottie, posh name, Keystone Dawn Chorus, down in, I think down in the West Country. And so that began. And, you know, my youngest daughter, Bella, has got a girl crush on Natasha. And the first time Tash and her parents came here for dinner, Bella couldn't talk because she was just, and she ended up burning herself because she was just, she reached out and put her hand on the auger, you know, because it was just she, and then burst into tears, and it was just all so dramatic. And now she and Natasha are really good buddies. And and through Natasha, I also got involved in British Paralympics Association, which I love. And I'm now chairman of the Parallel Club, which is a philanthropic enterprise encouraging people to sponsor over a 4-year period an amount each year to help our athletes get to the next zone, because people don't realize all those huge big sponsorship flags, you know, P&G, all the rest of it, Coca-Cola, none of it goes to the Paralympics. It all goes to the Olympics. And yet there are restrictions on Paralympics, how they can get, you know, the whole story. So it is a constant tin rattle to get as much revenue as we can to support our Paralympians. So that's my relationship with the gorgeous Natasha, and who is an inspiration on so many levels, because she's such a gifted rider. She's so knowledgeable about horses, dressage, fantastically so. So's her mum, actually, Lorraine. We can't forget Lorraine, because she's very cool. And she is also a fabulous broadcaster. She's the whole package. And now, of course, a new mum with a Child's Farm baby.
Absolutely.
Little Joshy, head to toe.
That's what we like to hear. What's it like to be part of that journey? Because, you know, obviously Natasha did go to Tokyo and was amazing. And I mean, there's another rather big event coming up next year in Paris, which if I were a betting person, I'd put money on her being there. What's it like being part of that journey?
Humbling, really humbling. And, you know, I tell you, it stops you moaning. It really does, because it's just seeing somebody who is overcoming. Yeah, we can have bad days, you know. Her bad days are when her whole leg goes into spasm and she's on the back of a horse and she has no control. Her bad days are when she is, you know, her immune system's shot and she's open to more infection. You know, meeting those all of our Paralympians is the most humbling thing that you can do. And it just, for me, it's one of those things that if ever I'm feeling a bit weak or I'm having a moan, I say to myself, oh, shut up. You've got 2 arms, 2 legs. You've got a roof over your head. You've got food in the fridge. You know, get on with it. And that is, again, something we all need to do more of, is just get on with it. Stop moaning and get on with it. It's what my Pilates instructor said to me today on my reformer. And I said, oh, it's really heavy. And she said, stop moaning. Do it. And I did. And it is, you know, so actually Natasha's a bit of an inspiration for me personally as well, because now not working every hour that God sent, I felt I needed a goal. So I have signed myself up to ride in the Magnolia Cup at Goodwood next year. Wow. Which you will know is a 5.5 furlong flat race. And I thought, oh God, be easy. Oh good God no. This is like, I mean, the fitness test in itself, I mean, I think had I read the small print, I might have thought slightly differently. I'm training now every day for an event that's taking place in August, because in May, if I get through the first fitness test, which is end of November, beginning of December, and the first riding test, I then have to go on and do a proper fitness test, and it's like running a marathon on a pogo stick. but you're upside down while you do it. I mean, it's hardcore stuff, but it's a challenge. I needed a challenge. I needed something to prove to myself that I wasn't a one-hit wonder. But also, I look at my Paralympian friends and I think, this is what you're doing every day. So stop moaning and get on with it. And it's a fantastic way to raise a huge amount of money for charity, which has yet to be announced. But you know, this is a fantastic innovation from Goodwood. It's part of glorious Goodwood Festival in August, so it's full of hoopla and pizzazz and excitement, and me trying not to faceplant if I'm legged up onto my horse.
Well, I do know a previous winner, so if you want to be connected to Ashley Richard, I can connect you up to her. She can give you the inside tips.
Yes, please. How to stay on.
I'll get on that.
You know, and again, how to breathe. You know, I mean, you know, I can't hold my breath for 3.5 minutes. Well, I can, but I think I might just fall off.
Good. It's not good.
Funny old colour. So so I'm excited about that. Always challenging, and then I'm already thinking about, if I'm going to be that fit to be able to do that, what can I then do after that?
I was going to say, what's next for you? Because obviously you have sold the majority of Child's Farm, but you are a busy lady and you are always doing things. You've got the Magnolia Cup. You've talked about the kind of the charities you're involved in as well. Obviously, you're still a huge brand ambassador and flag waver for Child's Farm as well.
So the other thing I am absolutely loving at the moment is working with female founded brands. Did I say that right? Female founded brands. And for me, that's twofold. One is as an angel investor. So I am in a fantastic position that I can financially support those brands that I like the look of. And, you know, that's great. And the other is I can advise brands about different stages. I say that sometimes, you know, working things out sometimes took me 6 months. I can share it in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So all that I've learned from those experiences, I'm sort of trying to impart to those that are interested, to help shortcut their journeys, and also be a sounding board, because you don't know what you don't know, right? So if you've gone into a business for the first time, you don't know what you should know to progress. So that for me is so much fun. And wow, I mean, I am meeting some of the most fabulous women in the process. And you know, it wasn't my intention when it came to investment. I've never said I'm only going to invest in female founded businesses, but it transpires I only have invested in female founded businesses. So I've sort of made that my reason to believe. And you know, all sorts of things. There's some that I understand incredibly well. There are some, like some AI tech businesses, that is a little bit above my pay grade, but I have invested in the founders.
And what an exciting journey as well, to be able to see so many businesses grow and start to thrive and really, you know, dominate.
Yeah. Well, who knew that I needed a laundry detergent that made all my sheets smell of the most amazing, they sort of smell pseudo Jo Malone. And all these things. Who knew that I could find these things that stop the moths eating everything? And who knew that I could go to an app and find out exactly what I should be wearing this season? You know, I will be able to look on collagery.com and know what I should be wearing at Goodwood next summer. How fabulous is that? I didn't even know. My boobs are happy in my new Lemonade Dolls bra. I mean, everything is looking peachy.
I love you. I could speak to you all day. Thank you so much for joining us today. Where can people find out more about you and, you know, what you're up to now?
Right. Well, I'm a bit. I have written a website, but I haven't actually turned it into a website yet because I'm a bit too stupid. But you can follow me on Instagram, Joanna_Jensen official, I think it is, and on LinkedIn, Joanna Jensen. And also, if you are interested in supporting female founders and understanding what brands are out there that are owned by female founders, do go on to buywomenbuilt.com. It'll show you a plethora of British brands that are owned by women. Not everyone is in the position that I am where you can invest in them, but we are all in that position where we could buy from them. And by doing that, we can support our amazing female founders who get only 2% of any venture capital, so money to invest in businesses. Women get just 2%. Shocking that we can all buy their products to help grow their businesses for them.
Definitely. And that's buy as in B-U-Y or B-Y?
B-U-Y, by Women Built. I mean, it's amazing. The collection of female founders on there will blow your mind. Also, the stuff that you're seeing there and you're thinking, oh my God, how brilliant. I've been looking for one of those for forever. Because women create businesses to fill a need that they have. They're not superfluous to requirements. They've worked it out, what's missing from their lives, a bit like I did with Child's Farm. And rather than sitting there and sort of saying, oh, it's not fair, I can't get that, they just say, do you know what? I'm going to do it myself.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining us today, Joanna. It's been amazing to talk to you.
Oh, thank you for having me. And the sun's shining and
Good.
the world's a beautiful place.